Some people arrive at a certain point in their lives and make a quiet internal decision, not dramatic, not announced, not even fully conscious in the way that deliberate decisions tend to be. Just a gradual settling into a conclusion that feels, by the time it has fully formed, like simply the truth of things. The conclusion that the version of love they used to believe in, the falling kind, the unexpected kind, the kind that arrives without warning and reorganizes everything, is something that happens to other people, that their particular combination of experience and temperament and the specific way life has shaped them has put them on a different path, a path that has its own genuine rewards, its own real satisfactions, its own version of a good life, a path without that kind of love. This person had made that decision quietly, completely, without bitterness. They are not a bitter person. Simply with the particular acceptance of someone who has looked honestly at their own history, their own patterns, their own relationship with romantic feeling, and concluded that the falling kind of love is not in their story, that they have missed the window or were never built for it, or have simply lived long enough and carefully enough that the conditions for it no longer exist in the terrain of their life. They had accepted this, and then you came along, and everything they had quietly, completely, without bitterness accepted, turned out to be wrong. Drop the word unexpected in the comments right now and subscribe to this channel if you are not already here. Because what happened to this person when you entered their life, the specific, total, completely unprepared for experience of falling in love after they had decided falling was no longer available to them, is one of the most moving things these cards have shown me in recent memory. And you deserve to know exactly what you did to someone who thought they were done. Exactly what it looks like when a person discovers that the story they told themselves about their own heart was not the true story after all. Let me tell you who this person is before we talk about what you did to them. Because understanding who they were before you, the specific shape of the life and the heart they were living, is what makes the after so significant. They are not someone who has avoided love out of fear. That distinction matters, and I want to make it clearly. This is not a person who has constructed walls or developed armor or decided consciously to protect themselves from feeling. They are not defended in that way. They are open in their own fashion, genuinely so, capable of warmth and care and real connection in the forms that their life has made available. They have people they love, commitments they honor, a genuine capacity for loyalty and attentiveness that expresses itself in everything they do. What they had concluded was simply that romantic love, the specific kind, the falling kind, the kind that arrives with that particular force and that particular completeness, was not something they were still available for. Not because they had shut the door on it, because they had lived long enough without it arriving to conclude, reasonably and without drama, that it probably was not going to. That some doors, left unopened long enough, simply ceased to be operative. That the window of a person's life in which that kind of falling is possible has a natural close, and that theirs had closed. They were at peace with this. Not performing peace, actually at peace. The genuine, settled, I have found my way to a good life without this kind of peace that is harder to arrive at than people acknowledge and more real when it comes. They were not waiting. Not hoping secretly while presenting as having accepted, not keeping a small flame of expectation alive somewhere in the back of their interior. They had genuinely, honestly, completely let it go. And then you walked into their life. I want to describe what happened the moment you appeared. The specific experience of the encounter from their side because it has a quality that I think you will find genuinely moving when you understand it fully. At first, nothing alarming, nothing that registered as significant in the way that things register as significant when you are prepared for significance. You were simply a person. Interesting in the way that genuinely interesting people are interesting, producing in them the particular quality of attention that their naturally curious and genuinely engaged nature brings to things that deserve it. They noticed you, found you compelling, were glad you had come into their orbit. That was all they expected it to be. But something kept happening. Small things. The way you said a particular thing in a conversation that found a place in them they had not known was available to be found. The specific quality of your attention when they were talking, the particular kind of listening that you do, which is not passive or politely attentive, but actively, genuinely, completely present in the way of someone who is actually interested rather than performing interest. The humor, the specific register of your humor and how perfectly it met theirs in moments that produced a quality of ease and delight they had not felt in a long time. The way you were, just the way you simply, ordinarily, completely, without performance, were accumulating in them in the way that only real things accumulate. They told themselves it was friendship. Genuine, warm, real friendship of the kind that does not come along often and is worth tending when it does. They were glad to have it. They were not on guard against it becoming anything else because they had concluded that anything else was not in the story. So they simply enjoyed it, let it be what they thought it was, did not monitor it or manage it or watch for signs that it was developing in directions they had foreclosed. And then one day in a moment they probably cannot identify precisely in the particular way that gradual things eventually arrive at their threshold, they realize what it had become. Let me describe that realization, the moment of understanding, because it was not the realization people imagine when they imagine falling in love. It did not have the dramatic quality of a movie scene or the obvious legibility of a feeling that announces itself with fanfare. It had the specific quality of a truth that has been building for a long time, arriving so completely and so finally that it cannot be confused with anything else. It was probably something small that triggered it, something utterly ordinary that would have passed without remark on any other day. But in that particular moment, in the specific state they were in, with all the accumulated weight of everything they had been experiencing around you, without naming it, landed differently, clarifyingly, with the force not of something new arriving, but of something that had been there all along, becoming impossible to continue, not seeing. And what they saw in that moment of sudden and complete clarity was themselves, in love, undeniably, specifically, completely in love with you, in the very way they had concluded was no longer available to them, in the falling kind of way that they had made their peace with never experiencing again, in the way that reorganizes everything, that makes the before and the after of a person's interior life two different countries. The response to that clarity was not what you might expect. There was no elation, not immediately. What arrived first was something closer to astonishment. The specific, profound, slightly humbling astonishment of someone whose entire understanding of their own story has just been revised without their permission, who had drawn what they believed to be a complete and accurate map of their own heart and has just discovered that the map was missing an entire territory. They sat with that astonishment for a long time, processing it, integrating it, learning to live in the new country of their own interior landscape, the one that now contained this feeling they had not expected to find there, adjusting to what it meant, what it required of them, what, if anything, they were prepared to do about it. Let me speak to what they have been doing since that realization. The internal life of someone who has fallen in love unexpectedly and is now navigating the specific combination of wonder and terror and uncertainty that characterizes the experience of a person who had made their peace with lovelessness, being found without warning in love. They have been examining it. This is the first thing. With the specific thoroughness of their nature, they have turned the feeling over and looked at it from every angle. Checked it for what it actually is versus what it might be mistaken for. Satisfied themselves through this examination that it is genuine, that it is not loneliness wearing the costume of love or gratitude being mislabeled, or the pleasant warmth of real friendship being misread as something more significant. They have done the work of knowing their own heart well enough to be certain. And the conclusion of all that examination is the same conclusion that the realization produced. It is love, the real kind. The kind they had decided was no longer in their story. They have also been frightened. I want to name this directly because it matters, and because understanding their fear will produce in you something important, the compassion that their vulnerability deserves. And that will be essential to how you receive them when they finally bring all of this to you. They are frightened because falling in love when you have concluded that you will not fall again is a profoundly exposing experience. Because the heart that has been at peace, genuinely, completely at peace with a particular life, is more vulnerable when it opens than the heart that has been waiting for the opening. Because they did not prepare for this, did not build any structure for it, did not develop any of the defenses that people who expect to fall tend to develop against falling badly. They are completely open to you, completely without armor. And that openness in a person of their particular self-sufficiency and their particular settled quality is a vulnerability of a specific and significant magnitude. They have been managing that vulnerability carefully, not by shutting it down or redirecting the feeling, by moving toward the expression of it with a pace that matches the enormity of what it is, by making sure before they bring it to you that what they bring is honest and complete and worthy of both the feeling and the person it is intended for. That preparation is nearly finished. What they are moving toward is very close. I need to speak now to something about you, about your role in this, not in the sense of responsibility for what they feel, which belongs entirely to them and to the genuine quality of who you are, but in the sense of how you have been experiencing this person and this connection from your side, and what that experience is preparing you for. You have felt something around this person that has not fit neatly into the categories available to you, something that has had warmth in it and depth in it and the specific quality of an ease that you do not find with everyone. The particular ease of someone whose company makes you more yourself rather than less. You have noticed the quality of their attention and found it distinctive. You have had conversations with them that have left you thinking afterward, not about what was said so much as about the quality of the space between you, the quality of being in it with them. You have not known entirely what to do with this because it has not announced itself clearly, has not had the obvious legibility of something that comes with labels already attached, has simply been present, accumulating, producing in you a kind of orientation toward them that is different from your orientation toward most people without your having made any decision to orient that way. That accumulation has been preparing you for what is coming from them, for the conversation that is building on their side, for the moment when what has been quiet between you becomes explicit and you are asked to receive something that requires not just your openness but your honesty, your own complete, unguarded, what do I actually feel honesty about what this person and this connection mean to you. Take some time before that moment arrives to sit with that question, not to produce a managed answer to find the true one, the one that exists beneath the uncertainty and the not quite knowing what to call this, and the careful Virgo tendency to not commit to an interpretation until all the information is in. The true feeling is already there. It has been accumulating in you the same way theirs has been accumulating in them. The question is simply whether you are willing to look at it directly and call it what it is. Let me tell you what happens when two people who have both been carrying something toward each other, one of them knowing it, one of them in the process of finding out, finally come to the same place at the same time with the same honesty. What happens is the kind of beginning that most people spend their lives hoping for and very few people actually get. Not the beginning of infatuation. Infatuation is available to many people and many situations. The beginning of genuine love. The specific two people who actually know each other, eyes open, this is what is true, kind of love that is built on the foundation of the real, of having encountered each other's actual character and actual quality and actual presence over sufficient time to know the difference between the performance of a person and the person themselves. You know each other. Not completely complete knowing is a project of years, and the years are still ahead of you, but substantially in the ways that matter most at the beginning of something real. In the ways that mean what comes next is built on something solid rather than something hopeful. What comes next is a relationship that has the specific beauty of things that were not planned, of things that happened to people who were not looking, of love that arrived in a life that had made its peace with its absence and transformed that peace into something even better, the peace of someone who has found what they had accepted living without and discovered that the finding is not disruptive but enlarging, that the love does not destabilize the life they built, it inhabits it, fills in the one dimension that was missing, makes everything that was already good better by the specific quality of warmth and color and genuine human connection that only love can add. That is what is available between you and this person. That is what they are building towards saying. That is what their unexpected, peace-disrupting, completely unprepared for love for you is in the process of becoming a real and lasting and completely chosen thing. That both of you have the depth and the character and the genuine quality to hold properly. What I want to say to you as we close this reading is something that connects to the heart of what makes this situation so significant. Something about the specific thing you did without trying, without knowing, simply by being yourself that made this person fall when they had decided falling was finished for them. You were real with them. That is what it comes down to. In a life and in a world that had given them abundant experience of the managed and the performed and the strategically presented, you were simply and completely real. Your warmth was not calculated. Your interest was not performed. Your humor arrived without strategy. Your care was not offered with the awareness of what it would produce in them, but simply because caring is native to who you are, and they were someone your nature found worth caring for. That reality encountered by someone who had become, through experience, a very sophisticated reader of the difference between real and performed, produced the thing it always produces in people who are paying genuine attention and who still have the capacity to be moved by genuine things. It moved them, past their acceptance, past their conclusion, past every settled story they had told themselves about the closed chapter of their romantic life, into the unexpected country of a love they had decided they would never feel again. You did not try to do this. You cannot take credit for it in the way you take credit for things you do intentionally, but you can receive the truth of it. That who you are, the specific, real, unperformed, warmly intelligent, genuinely caring, completely individual reality of you is the kind of thing that opens people, that reaches past their conclusions, that finds the part of them that still has room for the unexpected and reminds it that it is still there. You open someone who thought they were closed. That is not a small thing. That is the kind of thing that defines a chapter of a life. Come back and tell me in the comments, did someone come to mind? Someone whose particular self-sufficiency and settled quality have made their feeling for you feel both surprising and completely right. Drop unexpected if this reading found something real in you today. Tell me if the quality I described, the person who had made their peace with a certain life and found that peace revised by your arrival, matched something you have sensed in someone without knowing how to name what you were sensing. Because you have been sensing it correctly, you have been moving through someone's life as the thing that changed everything. They are almost ready to tell you so. And when they do, when the person who never thought they would fall again tells you that you are the reason they fell, receive it with the full weight it carries. It is the weight of something that does not happen twice. And it is completely, entirely, without question,